for over 20.
Oh, I love it.
So funny.
I will,
Do you think we need to be loud? So we'll hear us over there.
I just want to make sure. Oh, there, the blur goes away. Okay. All right.
I bet it'll.
Yeah, there we
It'll
go.
hear us,
All
okay.
right. Yeah, it'll hear us.
All
Oh,
right.
oh,
Thanks.
hello. We got the
I
wide
know.
angle lens today. Thank you for joining us on Hold My Protein.
Watch this.
So I am Megan Rohde,
I'm Leah Maikovsky.
and today we have the fabulous Janelle Ward. Janelle is the owner of Wendy's Cleaning Service
That's right.
and has like an unbelievable history.
Yeah.
And actually, Janelle and I apparently probably lived in the same place at the same
I
time.
think we're twins.
I think we might be twins.
Yeah.
Also have 6-year-old sons.
Yes, that's
which
right.
is very cool. So yeah, we're gonna talk all things juggling, being a
Life.
business owner and a mom and a wife and all the things. Yeah,
A human.
a human.
All right. So
Yeah.
why don't you give us a little intro to yourself first before we kick it off?
Yeah, my name is Janelle Ward and I own Wendy's Cleaning Service. I've been doing it since I was 19 years old. I'm 44. And I begrudgingly took over the business in 2020 because I became a mom. And it was a family business for so long and I didn't really think I would ever do it. But, things change. And now I love it. I love it so much. So I changed our business model. Now we just solely do commercial cleaning. We did residential primarily for 50 years. So that was, and I changed our whole brand identity and everything. So, but now it's growing. Now it's like the roots are planted and it's doing really well. And yeah, look forward to seeing what happens next,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you make the decision to rebrand? Like, what was it that?
COVID.
Okay.
So COVID, so being a cleaning company, we were essential, of course. And so we lost 90% of our residential business overnight with, because nobody wanted anybody in their homes. And then commercial just skyrocketed because everybody wanted to clean, disinfect, and take care of their office space, not knowing when they would go back. And in doing so, I had too much of a residential presence in my branding. And so as we started taking on more commercial accounts, it was a very organic choice, so just to look more, I don't know, I dare say like masculine, I had to kind of bring us down a little bit so that we would be more universal to a broader audience. And yeah, and I just talked to a marketing firm and it happened very easily. It felt very organic is the best way to say it. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And so your son would have been what, 2 when you did that?
2020. So he was 3.
Yeah. How was that?
Oh my gosh. It was horrible. It was horrible because you feel horrible as a mom, you want to be there for your child, but you as a woman, you also want to grow for yourself. And but then as a business owner, you have so much skin in the game, so putting on a professional hat, a mom hat, just a female hat, with a social, construct. It was hard. It was really, really hard, but it was worth it though. I knew I had to.
Does he clean?
He does. He vacuums. We have a canister vacuum. He goes around. I have pictures of him in diapers cleaning.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
What's his favorite? So my son he's a wiper.
Yeah.
So when he's here, if I've finished up with a client and I start cleaning the treatment table, he's like, "Mom, that's my job." So that's like his, and even at home, he wants to wipe things down.
Yeah.
So is vacuuming his
Vacuuming
thing?
is his thing, yes, and also pointing and delegating. There are cobwebs, somebody should clean that. He's a very outspoken child. So yeah.
I love it.
I tell him that if he's not careful and if he doesn't go to school and get his own degree, he will be the next owner of Wendy's Cleaning Service. So
Which
beware.
might not be a bad
No, it won't
thing.
be. Yeah. It's
That's
a very
awesome.
supportive business.
I love it.
Yeah.
You have our next question. Leah was really great. She emailed us questions and both Janelle and I are like,
We didn't look at them at all.
oh, great.
Okay, since you didn't look at them, I forgot them already. Okay, so what are some things that are challenging for you to manage in terms of being a business owner, being a parent, and then also being your own human being? right? Because I know as a business owner, I really struggle with like, okay, there's 24 hours of the day and my business needs all 24 of them. But also I need some of them where I'm gonna go insane and I'm gonna be in the news for doing something crazy and awful.
Nothing good.
For not for anything good. And it's really hard to manage, like I'm me, but
Yeah.
also I'm a business owner and also I'm all these other things.
Yeah, yeah. You said the answer right there. You have to still be yourself, right? So it's hard, especially like when you're in business with a friend or a family member, to stop talking about work, right? You are not your business, you are your own person. So I struggle a lot with that, like just turning off my work brain and allowing my boundaries to just not answer an email, right? Not answer a text message as long as it's not important from an employee, and allowing myself to have dinner with my family or, go out and have, dinner with my friends. So it's just allowing yourself the invitation to be like not your business. It's hard to do. I stutter talking about it because I have such a hard time doing it. Yeah.
That is, I don't think I'm very good at that.
No.
It's really hard because I think when we decided to do this, like the fear is real, is real. Like you're literally putting all of your eggs in this basket. And
Yes.
I really hope I don't fuck it up. And all of these people are depending on me. But then you become, I think, so proud when it's successful that I want to tie my identity to the business.
Right.
But at the same time, if I do that, then I don't, like what Lee is saying, I don't have, it then becomes like 24 hours a day. This is what I'm doing. And I'm responding to emails on a Sunday and I'm, not observing those boundaries. And I still, like at this point, I still do that. I was emailing, clients on Saturday and Sunday, but more so, I think the way I rationalize it, I'm emailing them to figure out when a good time during the week would be for us to talk.
Right.
So I've now rationalized that I'm not actually working. I'm planning to work.
You're planning working.
Right. Right. Yeah, you have to disconnect. I mean, there's unsolicited advice. I have to tell myself that all the time, but like disconnecting, because even if you're quickly glancing at, I have an Outlook account for all my work emails. If I'm glancing at it, my mind is totally disengaged from my son, my family, like any activity that I'm doing, so just to put the phone down, right?
Yeah.
But I think everybody has a problem with that.
100%.
Yeah.
I even try to like put it face down.
Yes.
So that I won't see anything. But I think because we're so used to having the world at our fingertips, it's just easy to be like, oh, wait, let me check that. I read an article, I want to say it was around 2020 or 2021, when I'm sure everybody got really bad with checking their phone because that was our only way of really interacting with other human beings. The average number of times that somebody checks their phone in a 24-hour period was like in the triple digits. And I remember reading that and thinking, well, that's not me. Like I'm special, which like,
right.
Sorry, everybody, you're not special. You're just like everybody else. And then I realized that was 100% true. And I have to be really, really aware of not doing that. Even when, like, if I'm sitting, and I don't know if you I think are better at this than I am because you focus and I don't. But like if I'm doing administrative stuff, if my phone goes off, I will look at it. And then the next thing I know, 10 minutes have gone by and I'm like, why did I pick this up in the first place?
Right. Yeah. And it takes you away from what you were, the task at hand.
Yeah. And then it takes me, right before we hit record, we were talking about neurodivergence. And
yes. Right.
My neurodivergent self is like, fuck, I just lost a half hour. And what was I doing to begin with?
Right. And then you have to ramp back up again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so that even takes more time before you actually complete whatever it is you had to do.
Yeah.
Yes. And then all of a sudden hours have gone by and you've only crossed off 2 things on your to-do list.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I really didn't have that problem until I became a business owner. And then now like I hear my phone vibrates. I'm like, oh, that could be money. That could be a customer. That could be a new customer. That could be a happy current customer. And there's all these things that could be. And then when it's something pointless, like, oh, Walmart is having a sale. It's like, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I was
Yeah.
expecting like this to be the phone notification that changes my life.
Mm.
And I think that kind of
10% coupon.
yeah, it's like it's a 10% off coupon. And I think even with social media, it's like, okay, I use it to market. Sometime every now and then an actual real customer will float up through my DMs. And so I think I'm always like checking and monitoring, and it's really not necessary, but then I feel like sometimes we'll tie our value to that. Like when we spend so long making like a stupid Instagram post and two people like it, and then you're like, oh, okay. I really just worked on this and clearly no one likes it. So clearly I am a failure as a human being.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're so hard on ourselves. You have to give yourself a little grace,
Yeah.
and also, so I just learned this actually. It's not about who follows your posts, it's about the engagement you have with people. So even if you just exchange a quick banter with someone, that's more powerful. So that's more quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So, which is hard. I hate social media, and my the marketing firm that I use, they're always encouraging me or like, electrocuting me to like engage. I'm like, but it's true, because once you do that engagement, then it actually does help. But
Yeah.
when you're a new business, I mean, my gosh, of course you have to pour all in, right? Because,
Well,
your skin's in the game.
Your skin is in the game. And what I did not realize until somebody explained it to us this way, because in my head, I was like, we're not running an online business.
No.
Therefore, why do I need to be on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube? Like, why do I need to do this? And the way that our coach actually described it to us was that those social media outlets are your new resume. And for me, coming from academics with my like 15-page CV that I'm sorry to anyone who's ever read it, that's boring as shit. My clients don't care.
Right.
Like they just don't care, but they want to know who we are as people. And so like they might scan the QR code that's on our window or Google us. They're going to go to our website, and then they're going to go to our social media, and that's our new resume. And so what they'll see very quickly is that we like to pick up heavy things and put them down. We do stupid reels dressed up as ghosts like we did last week. I'm not really sure what's on the docket for this week, but I'm sure it's going to be equally as ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I end up now feeling so grateful because we have amazing clients. And I think we have amazing clients because they get to see who we are. And then they come in and they see us be goofy and make fun of each other and laugh and have fun. And then they're laughing and having fun. Like yesterday, we had one of the biggest morning classes we've ever had in our 5:30 morning group. The afternoon, we had people in class, and then I was seeing a client. And at one point, all of them were doing like the same thing. And Leah and I just like knowingly looked at each other across the gym, and we were like, this is awesome.
Success. Yeah. And
it just feels really nice. But the pain in the ass of social media is like that for me. It's like what you said, like I'm tying my value to how many people liked this or how many people are even engaging with it. And if it's a flop, then I just failed. And we're so hard on ourselves.
We are so hard on ourselves. Well, being in the business, so you're in the business of building trust, right? And through your competence, right? Trust and competence are the two most important things in business, to be a successful and sustainable business. But you need to get people here to trust you, so they can see your, social media. That's the same with me. Like, I cannot gain a relationship with somebody by showing them a picture of a clean toilet. They have to actually see the clean toilet, use it, right?
Yeah.
But I have to invite them to even like engage with me in the first place, which is that social media, online presence, blah, blah, blah. In all the networking groups that we do, because then once they're in front of you, then you sell yourself, right? Like you're so competent. I love working with you, right? You're so gregarious and so engaging and make it very warm. Like, so the two of you together as a team are incredible as soon as you walk through your front door, right? I wouldn't have gotten that I've never even looked at your social media. Don't hate me, but
That's okay.
So, but it's a good way to get people through the door,
And just speaking of value, do you ever feel like you struggle with imposter syndrome or like recognizing your own value?
Yeah, don't you? Right? Every day, all the time. Yeah, it's hard to remember that we're hard on ourselves as women, right? We're so hard on ourselves as women. And it's also hard, dare I say, like the more successful we are as women, the harder it is to climb the ladder because there are always like people or entities or, you know, opinions that kind of push us down and make it harder to get further ahead. So, you know, I'm in a janitorial world, which is a very male dominated industry. And granted, you know, it already hit my business had 50 years of brand equity, 48 years of brand equity when I bought it, but I did change it entirely. And so I have to compete with people who look at me like maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I believe them for a minute. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I believe them, and then I question myself, and then I'm like, wait a fucking minute, like I know what I'm doing, like I'm good at this, and I have to like coach myself. Yeah. So imposter syndrome's real. I don't know, it's so important that we celebrate ourselves, right? Like, the more successful we are, the more educated we are. Like you guys have just a gigantic head that's, you know, all of your PhDs combined. You know, like how cool is that to celebrate that, you know? And then be a business owner on top of it, and then be like a cool person in society.
I think
I
I feel really overwhelmed and humbled hearing you say that, because what I'm hearing is your perception of us.
Yeah,
And we're so hard on ourselves, and we
Yeah.
like share it with each other.
yeah.
When I was, how long had I been out? I think I'd been out of PT school like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I worked at Cleveland Clinic. And I remember when I got that job, I was like, holy shit, I just got a job as a physical therapist for like, I think that year they were the #2 hospital in the country. And they've always been #1 for heart health. So I was like, I'm at like, this is it. Like, this is the top. And I was working in, I don't even think it's called sports health anymore. They've done so much rebranding, but so within sports health, we, you know, would work with, you know, regular like general population, but then there was a division of sports health that had, you know, PTs who were in with the major league sports and with colleges. We had a residency program, like there was all this really cool stuff to do. And every Friday morning we had sports medicine grand rounds, and there were like some of the biggest names in orthopedic surgery in the game at that point in time were at Cleveland Clinic. And I'm going to send this, Carol, you're going to listen to this. So my friend Carol is also a PT. She owns her own practice in Cleveland. She and I were at Cleveland Clinic together. And we used to get up and go to these sports medicine grand rounds 6 o'clock in the morning on Fridays together. And it was nothing but a group of good old boy orthos. And then their residents and fellows, and then, you know, the PTs would come in. And there was a surgeon who, I wonder if he's actually still living, but he should definitely be retired by now, because this was like 15 years ago. And he referred to us as the little girls across the hall.
Yeah.
And Carol and I would just sit there in the morning with our coffee and like audibly groan, but he was deaf, so he couldn't hear us. And I hated getting his patients. But on the flip side of that, some of the younger guys looked at us as colleagues. And it was the first time that had ever happened for me. And I loved it. And so then when I left, I had worked through a lot of that, what you were saying, like being in a more male dominated profession where you have to like really prove yourself. And I was like, oh, well, I just came from a place where I did that. And then I moved to Arizona. And then I had to do it all over again.
Yes.
And even now living in New Hampshire, there are instances in which I find myself having to do it all over again. And I don't understand it.
No.
I never will.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, because at no point in my life did my parents ever raise me to believe that like a man is more capable or educated or, you know, fill in the blank than a woman. I don't raise my son that way. And yet there are men that we all know mutually who know that I know more than them, know that Leah knows more than them, and still are doing anything they can in like an underhanded, manipulative way to like squash us. And I'm sorry, but I will take up space.
Oh my gosh, and be proud of it too, you know, and that's the thing too, like, so you guys went to the Wild meeting the other day and like, you know, went and met a whole bunch of, you know, cool women. And my biggest qualm with that when I first went, which I think I had talked to you about, is that I didn't want it to be a man bashing thing, you know, so to celebrate women is so important. It's not the same as man bashing, right? But like, so gender is gender, humans are humans, success is success. But when, so if I think that way, I get really pissed off when I have to then prove my gender is valuable or it's not even, it shouldn't be a variable, right? And then I'm like, God, now I am man bashing, you know, like, come on, you know? So, you know, it's so funny that, you know, people think we've come so far, but have we? I don't know, you know, I don't know, but.
I think there's different, my husband and I talk about this every once in a while, and it's, I guess we should mention, it is voting day, so if you
Yes.
didn't, go vote. You can't bitch if you don't vote.
That's correct. No opinion.
No opinion if you don't vote. I think that there are things that men do very, very well that we can't do.
Of course. Oh my
And
gosh.
what I think women who find themselves, because I'm guilty of it too, when I'm like, oh shit, I'm not being an empowered woman, I'm just talking shit on men. What I realize I forget in that moment is that we're different for a reason.
Yes.
And there are things that they can do way better than I can. There are also things that I can do way better than they can.
Absolutely.
And if we can all just be okay with that, rather than that's the celebration of just being different. And then it's just okay.
Yeah. There was you know, I like watching reels and sending them to my best friend. And
I feel like that's how women in their 40s show their love.
Absolutely. Especially when they live in North Carolina.
You'll count.
Oh yeah, you'll get there. But oh my gosh, what was I just gonna say? The reel was, oh, I forgot.
I made you
lost
lose it. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. See, that also happens in your 40s where you start to lose your memory.
It does.
Moving on.
Yeah, I think when we were building our business, you know, we were already having some, you know, conflict with other businesses, and we had a really great conversation of, you know, there's one thing to build yourself up. There's another thing to intentionally push someone else down to bring you up.
Yes.
Kind of by reflex. And we had a lot of really good conversations of, you know, how are we going to build community rather than competition with other people and other businesses? And how do we kind of collaborate in a constructive way for everyone? Because, you know, Megan and I are competent when we're not busy thinking that we're dumb. Like we very much, you know, in a swing of poorly guided self-confidence could definitely maliciously, you know, build our reputation, kind of grow ourselves that way, but that's not really the point.
Right.
Really. Like we're trying to build an environment of kind of collaboration and growth with other people. And that's why we have this podcast partially, so we could highlight other people and how awesome they are. And I guess how do you manage as a successful business owner dealing with other like competition that doesn't always mean well?
Ooh, other competition that doesn't mean well. That's a great question because I just stay true to my values, right? Your core values, whatever they are, as a person, not just as a business owner. Talking shit about other businesses or competition is never okay, right? And people will fish for that a little bit, like, well, who was it? Who, you know, and I don't offer that information because I've just stooped down to a level that I feel like I've grown up and gone past. So if somebody tries to, there was an instance in the chamber, there's another commercial cleaning company, and he had a rough time with a client that used to be my client, and it was a very parallel circumstance. And he got really nervous because he didn't know if it would affect his business. And I called him and I said, I will give you, as Wendy's cleaning service, I will give your cleaning services company a 5-star review. I'm on your side, right? So he's, you know, technically the competition, but he's not. And that now, because now I've built a relationship with him. It's all about relationships. You know, so, and if I can show that I'm not going to judge somebody or I'm not going to try to like take the dinner off their table, then they will trust me more, trust and confidence, right? And then over time they will value me. And then hopefully they're, you know, it's like like a good, pairing, a good relationship. So, but when people want to talk badly, I just ignore it. I do.
It doesn't help
Yeah.
anything. I think when we get clients, we get a lot of clients who call us from having had other PT before or other pelvic floor. I've had women call me crying from like other PT parking lots
Oh, wow.
because of the experience that they had.
Yeah.
And I do ask them where they went before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so that I can bash that place, but for me, it's so I know what they're offering so that we can improve the value that we already provide.
Sure.
And like our job really is to help as many people as we can, but then also separate ourselves in the market so that there's no question that this is where you would choose to go.
Right.
And it's really sad because some of the stories that I hear from other places, I'm like, who in their right mind thought that that was a good idea?
Right.
And because I am so outspoken, it takes an immense act of will to not say that out loud as I'm hearing my client say this stuff. But yeah, we tried really, really hard when we were first opening to reach out to as many places as possible. And it was interesting. Most people were fine, and then, or they were neutral. And there were a couple places that were just downright nasty. And I thought, I don't even have the same business you do. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And I just don't understand that. But to me, I guess it all comes from fear.
I think it does. It's like insecurity. It's just like the bully in the sandbox,
Yeah.
Usually they come from a place of insecurity, or, that's how they were taught to be. And so they're just, projecting that forward. I haven't run into that directly except for with one company, and I'm a very outspoken, filterless human being, and I cannot help myself, but I did. I took it, I received some information that was not like, it wasn't kind. And I sat on that email until the next day. I heard somebody somewhere say, like, when you don't know how to respond, wait 24 hours. And I did. I was very proud of myself in that moment, because otherwise, then I just look like an asshole.
Yeah.
I just don't want to look like an asshole. And then like when people come from a bad place and I have to correct something like, bad, like cleaning relationship with the company, then I just say to them, like, I'll take care of you. We will take care of you. And then that's it. That's all they need to hear.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you. We'll do this together.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why we like asking where people came from too. It's not because we get some secret joy that someone else fucked up and they came to us. But it's, in terms of just taking care of people, it's like you went through some sort of healthcare trauma with someone else.
Yeah.
And, because we've been around here a while, we kind of know what flavor of healthcare trauma you went through based on where you were next. And that just helps us say, okay, like, how do we better take care of you and meet your needs? And so I kind of like your message of just trying to take care of other people.
Well, especially you're both doctors. Like that's what you do. You stick needles in my back and it makes me feel very like, but you take care of me, right? So, trauma. And you primarily work with women, right? Pregnant women, postpartum women. So like they need to be cared for. Like if there was ever a time to be nurtured, it's then. So yeah, of course, which you both do very well, by the way. They're very nurturing and very powerful,
I think that's really why I do this. Like at first, I think I did start to get into this for the wrong reason. Like I was really angry and bitter at insurance companies. I was sick of productivity standards and, all of the crap that comes with being in like corporate healthcare. But I've seen so many women over the last, 15 years I've been working with pregnancy and postpartum that they don't, when they're pregnant or when they're postpartum, because the education is so poor that you would get from OBGYNs, and even like nothing against midwives, I do tend to gravitate more towards them than a traditional OBGYN, but because the like labor delivery kind of market is so wrapped with litigation. I think people are really hesitant to share a lot of education with women. And so you end up in this like power dynamic where the OBGYN or the midwife or the nurse is the person in control. And here you are, the woman who's actually like birthing the child.
Yeah, doing the work.
You're the one doing the work, but you got these people telling you how you need to do the work.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I had my son that I was like, wow, that's a super fucked up way to go about doing this. Like, this is actually my experience.
Sure.
And I did not know, even being a pregnancy and postpartum therapist and all of that, I didn't even know when I was pregnant how to advocate for myself. And so when we have women who come in here who are pregnant or postpartum, that's what I want, is to show them like, we will take care of you. And then also we're going to teach you how to find that strength that lives inside every woman. And we'll also be an advocate for you in that process. That's what I want.
People need to know they have somebody else who's voicing for them, right? Like sometimes we're just quiet or tired, or we just don't have it in us to like advocate for ourselves. So to know that you have somebody to advocate for you is a very empowering experience. My new thing that I've been coming up with lately is like, borrow my confidence. Like, so a lot of times people don't believe that they're good enough at something, or I can't do this, I don't know how to, or they like self-deprecate. And I'm like, from my eyes, my perspective, I can see that you can do something, whether it be in business or personal life. And I said, just borrow my confidence. Like, I'm confident in you. And until you can find the confidence in yourself, you can borrow mine. You can, and hopefully that helps them kind of like, I don't know, take that breath, not have that imposter syndrome, find their inner voice, like, no, they can trust somebody, and then grow, right? Yeah, especially after the physicality of birthing a human being out of your body into the world. I mean, there is no more vulnerable time of your life. I don't think so. I haven't experienced a more vulnerable time other than like having a child and needing a good doctor. My doctor, my son was born in right outside of Harvard Yard. I had Harvard doctors working with him because I worked in Harvard Yard. So he was born at Mount Auburn in Cambridge. They were amazing, I have to say. And they did exactly like my doctor, like my OBGYN, she spoke up for me when I didn't know how to. Yeah. So, but I heard that was like few and far in between.
Well, and that's like when we're trying to reach out to providers, who have our clients.
Yeah.
Those are the providers that I want to have a relationship. I actually don't want to get a client from someone who is, in and out in 5 minutes. Oh, you're doing fine. Everything looks normal. I don't want that because that's going to make things hard on me when I go to advocate for my client and say, hey, actually, I do think there's something going on here and we need to look at that. And there are, and I don't want to make blanket statements about, OBGYNs and midwives, because they're not all like that. Just like not all PTs, are like that. There's amazing, amazing providers out there. It's sad to me though, that in this country, well, 2 weeks ago, I had 4 new clients in a week, and I left here on Friday afternoon, and I was just like emotionally spent with the stories that they shared with me. I mean, just heartbreaking stories. Every single thing that these women had been through was completely preventable if a provider had just listened.
Listening is so important, isn't it? Just in general in life. Yeah. Oh, so you like, clearly you guys are like people of service, right? Like, so that's what you're learning through this whole process, is that you want to be a place of service for people.
Yeah.
It seems very tribal to me, like very like old school shamanistic, like we are the women, come to us and we will take care of you.
Okay. So now can I say it on a podcast now?
I don't know what you're going to say, but sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let's see if I
have
regret
permission.
it.
Yeah, right.
I love that you said that.
Yeah.
Because I want to tell you the story of our logo.
Okay. All right.
Leah's like, oh,
Go for it.
here it goes. Do you need to hold the emotional support penis behind you?
You have a stuffed penis in your
We
front
do. We have a
pocket.
stuffed penis.
Would you
Yeah.
like the emotional support?
No,
penis?
thank you.
He's not very happy right now. Show her what happens when he gets happy.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe that's in your front window.
It's also a
I
net.
love it. Yes, also-
I kind of forgot it was in there and we got our new sign and I texted a picture to my parents and my mom was like, Leah, you might want to look again at your front window. I think you might need to like rearrange it a little bit because it doesn't look so good. And I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, I just texted my mom and dad a picture of my window, which has a nice sign and everything else, but also a penis.
A gigantic, overstuffed blue penis.
Blue penis. And I don't think we've talked about that since I learned where babies came from, like many, many years ago.
Many
And
years.
I'm still not really old enough to talk about it again with my parents.
No.
And so, yeah, I have to hide it whenever they come by.
That is so funny.
I'm
love that.
convinced that before we got our sign up, that's actually 50% of what brought people in the door. They were like, what's going on with the penis?
Yeah,
in the
what
window?"
kind of store is
Right.
this?
What is
Right,
this?
yeah.
What kind of services are you
Yeah,
offering?
very, very curious.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Tell us about your logo.
Okay. So in saying that we are very tribal and shamanistic. So in 2020, I was like much of the rest of the country, really, really struggling and like trying to navigate a whole bunch of things that were happening just like in our family and in my personal life. I had just finished my dissertation, which nobody tells you when you work on this thing that's huge for so long, when it's actually done, that you get like post-dissertation depression.
Oh, that.
Apparently that's like a real thing. And so I ended up working with some friends who own a gym in Prescott. And they're amazing. I'm going to send this to you guys too, so you can hear the story. And they were just like watching me struggle. And my friend Joey came up to me and he was like, you just need to come to ceremony with us. And I'm like, what in the holy fuck are you talking about? Ceremony? I am in a gym. Who are you?
Yeah.
Well, Joey is this amazing, amazing man. He and his wife, Andrea. He is former Air Force, like special forces. So has seen some shit, needed to work through his own junk, and met a friend who took him, I believe, down to Peru, and they did the whole like ayahuasca experience.
Oh my gosh,
and all
I
that
want
kind
to
of
do
stuff.
that. Yeah.
So and like that helped Joey work through a lot of his stuff, and Andrea as well. And so then they continued to kind of do this, with this group of people. And I trust them. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it with people I trust. And so on December 4th of 2020, I went down to Phoenix to this warehouse.
Yeah.
And I walk into this room and there's like twin IKEA beds and trash cans and Kleenex boxes, like in a little circle. I'm like, dear God, what did I just sign up for?
Yeah.
And I did this ceremony. And I swear for like at least a solid 2 hours, I was like, this is bullshit. This is not working. This happened when I was hypnotized one time. Like this doesn't work on me. Oh, well, it does. It works really fucking well. And so I had this vision, and this vision was of me in a desert, like just regular kind of Arizona desert. And the desert at twilight where it's like blue and purple,
so beautiful.
And it's so beautiful. And you can like see some stars. So I'm in the desert, I'm around this like campfire by myself, and I'm in this twilight, but I'm like domed. So it's like being in a snow globe kind of. And this very like regal, ethereal Native American like priestess comes to me in this vision, and she has a lioness with her.
Ooh.
And basically it tells me that everything is fine, that I have this like power and strength within me that I just need to cultivate a little bit more, and that she is going to be with me through this entire journey. And I felt this just intense sense of peace that I've never felt before or since. And I have continued to have her like show up in my brain ever since then.
That's amazing.
And so when you say that we are this like shamanistic tribal kind of vibe, I'm like,
she's speaking through
fuck
me.
yeah, we are, because that was what my vision said we were gonna be. And,
Yeah.
but that's really what I wanted for this business. And so when Leah and I decided to go into business together, I had to kind of tell her my super hippy dippy story and be like, are you cool with that? Because
Were you cool with that?
Yeah, I was cool with it. I mean, she didn't really ask.
I didn't.
She kind of, I mean, she asked, but she asked in the way that someone asks when you're telling them.
Yeah. You're like, all right, we're doing this.
And I was like, you know what, that's fine. Like I like the message of inner strength, right? Like we do physical therapy to build people's physical strength, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, part of the magic of being physically strong is finding your mental strength as well, because without that, you're not going to advocate for yourself. You're not going to make sure that you're getting what you need. You know, you're going to just let, you know, your healthcare providers not give you what you need. You're going to let other things suffer without mental strength. And kind of building your physical strength and finding your village is kind of how you build up that inner mental strength. So I was cool with it.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. So I did a sweat lodge out in Arizona. Not even close to what an ayahuasca experience is, I'm sure. I can only imagine, but yes, you get like, you know, that sweat lodge, right? So you go into an enclosed space and they make it extremely hot by pouring water over hot rocks, right? And so, and you have to, it gets so hot that you have to dig into the dirt and breathe the air in the dirt because it's cold enough for you to actually be able to, you know, have a full, you know, inspiration. But same thing, same idea. It just kind of pushes you to the edge. And then when you're there and so fucking vulnerable, like things kind of like all the walls fall, like all the noise stops. And I was just like, all right, like I'm meant to be something more than what I am currently. And I just always knew that. And that just kind of gave me that inner drive to just grow. But yeah, like that was a very shamanistic experience for me, you know, that I made up by myself. There was no actual, you know, shaman who came to me. I wish there were, but yeah, it's important. Like when you find that inner strength and just showing up, right? Like that's the mental strength. Like you just have to show up. And then as long as you do that, you know, the likelihood of being successful exponentially increases, you know.
And I think that's something that I've learned in the last 4 months that we've been in this new location. We have a client right now that opted in on something that we did a year ago. It took her a year to come see us. And I used to get so nervous and even just 2 months ago, like third week of the month, I'm like, we don't have any new clients. Oh my God, we're gonna close. And Leah was like,
Breathe.
It's gonna be great. And when I shifted from how do we pay our bills, how are we gonna be able to do this, to how many people can we serve? It was like the universe flipped a switch and the floodgates opened. And I would say ever since that happened for me, every single day we get at least an inquiry about our business. Might not turn into a client, and that's okay, but it's an inquiry and it's a step in the right direction. And then everything else that we do, we've just been doing like from that place of service.
It's like Simon Sinek says, like, what's the why of your business, right? That's more important than the what of your business. And because we're animals, we forget that humans are animals. So we have this instinct that a lot of us ignore, but it also kind of drives us. And so we can instinctually sense when somebody has good intention or bad intention. And as a care provider, if your intention is to keep the lights on, it's not your intention to take care of the person. They can feel that, you know. So you're right. Like if you flipped it and like the universe switched it for you, it's because you changed your intention, which you were non-verbally exuding to your potential client base, you know.
And I think that's where we butted heads a lot initially, is kind of balancing, you know, I've done so much to try to prove myself. I've got all these letters, I'm a doctor, I know all these big words, I've helped all these people. But at the same time, like, no one owes you shit. Like, you can't stand here and like be like, I'm open, you will come to me. Like, people are not going to come to you. You do not deserve your customers. And I think that was really hard for us to go from we are awesome, we deserve some customers, why the hell are they not here yet? To like, okay, we actually need to just be awesome and serve people and help people, and that is where they will
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the logistics of running a business, like I'm sure you're realizing every day the nuances of what you're doing and like what like comes at you. You're like, oh shit, this is something new that I wasn't prepared for, or
No,
like, how do I deal with this circumstance? This is totally new. And especially when your partner is like, I'm an only child, so I don't play well with others.
So are we.
Yeah,
We're
okay,
both
well, you
only
guys are
children.
figuring it out. But when you have to collaborate and like, problem solve
Yeah.
with like the nuances of like, being a small business and new while you're establishing yourself is hard, right? And sometimes it's like it puts you in a place of humility. You're like, as smart as you are, you can have PhDs, right? But then like something happens with QuickBooks or whatever it is, you're like, "Ooh, oops,
Not good at that.
Yeah.
Can't have a PhD in everything."
No.
No.
Well, and one thing that I think we have figured out, because we're both only children too,
Yeah.
and we started joking about it early on, which I think was the best thing that we could have done. And we'll call each other out on it. Like there have been days that only child Leah has like set up her workout and taken up the whole fucking gym. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go over here to my little corner and be salty about it because I'm gonna be that only child that's like, she took all my space. But we laugh about it now.
Right.
We've had to have some, what I think for other people would be ridiculously uncomfortable conversations about business development or money or how money is going to be spent or saved. And we can disagree and it's fine. And I think maybe in like less than 5 minutes, we just figure it out. And nobody's upset or salty about it. And it's really quite lovely. Like I could not have chosen a better person to go into business with. Because I think we keep each other, well, Leah's like, of the two of us, far more grounded than I am. But she keeps me in reality, which is really, really nice. But then also entertains my outlandish visionary ideas, which have turned out to be good.
Yeah, I feel like you figure out where we go, and then I'm like, okay, like let's actually get the logistics, and then we can go there. So I think we're very opposite in like a good way. Like we're never both panicking about the same thing at the same time. Like she's panicking about column A, I'm panicking about column B, but like she has column B on lock, like I've got column A on lock, and so we just gotta kind of communicate. And somewhere in between the two of us is usually the correct.
Like the bridge between the two. So I just like to point out, just because you're quiet doesn't mean you're not crazy. You know what I mean? So, like you're definitely quiet, but you've got zingers. I'm like, so you're a little crazy, right? Yeah.
For sure. You should have heard some of the zingers yesterday. They were wildly inappropriate.
Oh yeah, they should not be on.
They should not be on this podcast. But oh my Lord, I have not laughed that hard in a long time.
That's the best.
Oh yeah,
it's the best.
And she's done that for as long as I've known her.
Like,
she won't say anything for a while, and then she's just got the zinger that comes out, and you're like, God damn, that was good.
Right. I think that type of humor, it just shows like great intelligence. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. Yes, as your head grows, you're gonna be the only head in the podcast.
I know. We're just gonna call this podcast "How's Leah?" Really cool. So how do you manage being a business owner by yourself? Because I feel like when Megan is gone, I go insane. And when I'm gone, Megan goes insane.
I don't know what to do.
How do you deal with it all?
So my mom still does my books, and so she owned the business. She bought it in '99. I bought it in 2020. So I still use her as a great reference and resource. Although, I mean, she's maybe like 7% involved in the general overall operations. She tells me when I need to stop spending money. She'll say like, enough with marketing, like, we have to clear the books this month. We can talk about it next month. But then also, what I learned the hard way is I do things by myself. And I'm a very independent person, and I learned I could not be in business. So instead of doing everything by myself, marketing, scheduling, hiring, firing, gaining new business, I was so burnt out. I was burning the candle at both ends. So I learned that I had to implement systems. So now I have an operations manager and she's my unicorn and I love her. She's amazing in every way. And then now I've just recently hired an office manager. So the idea is for me, although I don't ever have an intention of selling my business, I need to be able to walk away from my business and allow it to run by itself while I'm just kind of like doing a general umbrella, like overseeing its function. So that's how I do it. So, and I stopped micromanaging and I also allow people to do things their way, as long as it doesn't hurt or harm the, like the identity of my business and it's like MO. So, so I delegate, I stopped micromanaging, I'm implementing systems. I'm allowing myself to not wear all the hats, which was a very hard transition. I like things like very specifically done in my way, my vision. So I am a very rigid thinker. So I had to learn how to be a flexible thinker.
I think that's really, I'm a rigid thinker too. And I like, obviously my way is great. Look at how, look at
amazing I am, right? Like, hello.
But that's super flawed because we all, we all have blind spots.
Sure.
When I have been, I think the best leader is when I've had, and like, I love Jocko Willing. He talks about a lot of this in his podcasts and his whole story. To be an effective leader, everybody has to be working towards a common mission, which you have developed. But then they need to also have the freedom to be able to achieve that mission within some guardrails, not super tiny ones, but some guardrails, the way that celebrates their strengths the best.
That's right.
And if you don't do that, then you're not actually a leader, you're a manager. And there's a huge difference.
Oh my gosh, I say that all the time. To manage a business and to own a business are two totally different things. And I was very humbled because I had always been like, top tier managers and, general manager or executive manager, you name it, in other businesses before I bought Wendy's. But then, and so I was like, of course I know how to be a business owner. Nope, like not at all, and I made some very like egregious mistakes to get there. But yeah, like just kind of like taking a chill pill, right? Like while always keeping your foot on the gas, but there's no reason to go 90 all the time. Just like a cool 70 miles an hour is good on the highway. Like just keeping it moving forward, but not too aggressively.
Well, and that I think becomes being consistent. And maybe we can like wrap up with this because I think for me, as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, as a friend, even with my training, you have to do the stuff that most people aren't willing to do, and you got to do it consistently. And on a freeway, if you've got wide open space, nobody wants to go 70. They want to go 85.
At least,
right? So just being consistent and doing the mundane, that's I think what makes you successful in all of those things, but you just have to consistently do it.
I feel like consistently mastering the boring basics.
Oh God, that's a horrible bumper sticker, but so true. You're right. Yeah, you just have to do the boring stuff too and be predictable a little bit,
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you for coming on our podcast. This was great.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Wendy's Cleaning Service is located at 10 Northern Boulevard in Amherst, New Hampshire. Our phone number is 603-673-4266 or at www.wcs-cleaning.com.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was good.